you guys? Welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about some running tips for beginners. Now, if you don't know, I started my running journey about 2 to 3 months ago. I am currently training for the half marathon here in Houston, and I have about 7 weeks left to the marathon. So I'm going to be sharing with you some of my running tips for beginners. So first off, I just want to tell you guys how I got into running. When we first moved out here to Houston, I was trying to figure out a way to keep myself motivated and active. And I had done the Spartan race previously, and so I was thinking about doing the Spartan race again. Now, I wasn't overly excited about it. I just was kind of like, it's something that I know that I can do. So I had it in my mind that I was going to do this. I was talking to a friend and she was telling me how she was going to start training for a half marathon or just start running for a marathon. And I was like, I wonder if I could do that. Now, I've always been a treadmill runner. I have run outside a couple times, but I could never stay running more than like a minute or two, literally. And so that made me kind of hate running or not like it as much. And so whenever I would do it, it would feel great after, but it would just be so hard. And I would only ever do max maybe like 25-30 minutes. So I was a little like nervous about it when I had the idea like, hey, maybe I should get into running. Jumping into like my first day, I was just like, I'm gonna try for 5 miles. I don't know, I just picked a number. Was it 5? I'm trying to think, was it 5 or 3? No, I'm pretty sure it was 5. Brian has also been into his fitness journey, or he's just, focusing a lot more on his health, and he's always down for a challenge. So he was like, you want to do 5 miles? Let's do 5 miles. So we just headed out, and we knew that if we were going to run 5 miles, we would have to start off slow. So let's jump into my tips. I have about 6 tips. It's an odd number, but I came up with 6 tips for running for beginners. The first one, slow and steady wins the race. You want to be running at a pace that is easy, like an easy pace. One that you feel like you can go on for a good amount of time. Get out of your head. Stop thinking about this is like jogging. It probably does feel like you're jogging. It probably is jogging, but you don't have to put a name on it. Just go at a pace that you're like, okay, I can probably hold this for, whatever, 30 minutes or whatever. Super easy, super light. That is an easy pace. Don't think about how long it's going to get to finish these miles. For me, the way I started was I chose an amount of miles that I wanted to run, and it didn't matter how long it took me to get to this. I just ran. Now, the first time I did it, we ran the 5 miles at an easy pace. We were running like maybe like a 13-minute mile pace, like a 13-minute mile pace, and 13 or 14-minute mile. And we stopped, or I stopped. I don't remember if he stopped, but I stopped maybe like twice. But my goal was to just finish the 5 miles. So it didn't matter how I got there. I just needed to finish. So that is my first tip. The second tip that I have is breathing. And this is so important because this is how I learned my easy pace. If I was pushing so hard that I was out of breath, or like I couldn't breathe properly, I knew I was going too hard. And so I learned, now it's just naturally, just be conscious about it at first, just in through your nose, out through your mouth, in through your nose, out through your mouth. Your legs are gonna get fatigued, but as long as you can breathe, right, you can just keep going. And so breathing is key to me because I can push and it's all mental. Running is all mental, and I can just push as long as I can breathe, right? Like if you're gasping for air, like now you're about to die. So breathing is key. I learned recently this tip for breathing, and I absolutely love it, and I do it very often. So the tip is, if you feel out of breath, you're gonna take a deep breath in, and once you've filled your lungs, do a little bit more. So you're gonna go, for some odd reason, that just like allows extra air into your lungs, and it works every single time. So I go deep breath in, hold it, and then an extra one, and then blow out. That regulates my breathing, and it is just such a helpful tip. I use it every single time on my speed runs. Tip number 3, depending where you live, right? I live in Texas and it gets really hot. If I am not up and out running at the crack of dawn by 8 o'clock in the morning, the sun is beaming, I'm out of breath, like I'm sweating, I'm dehydrated, it's really bad. So for me, it's helpful to take one of the little water bags, like the little small ones. I have a little running vest. I take that with me. And if I need to like take a sip, I will do that. And honestly, quite often, pretty much every single one of my runs, I take a sip around mile 4 or something like that. I just start getting a lot like thirsty, and I'm not talking about gulping the water down, but like it's just really helpful. And so set yourself up. What are some things that you think you might need? Now, you don't need these things to start running, but these were things that I take with me on my runs. So maybe start running and figure out what are these things that you need, and then incorporate them into your runs. Another thing that I like to take with me are gels. About when you're doing a long run, your muscles start to get really fatigued, and if you want to keep going, I take these gels that just like rehydrate you, give you the electrolytes, a little caffeine boost so you can keep going. And so I take these gels here. I don't know if it's like the best. I've only tried this flavor, and at first it was a little gross, but now I'm kind of used to it. I always take it around mile 3 because that's usually when I start getting tired. So water and gels are always something that I take with me. I've also started taking with me lifesavers, like the little mints. And the reason I like that is because my mouth gets really, really dry. And so this just like keeps like my mouth moist and stuff like that. So I really like those things. Number 4, running shoes. This to me was the most important thing, because on my first or my second run, I think it was my first run, I was wearing these sneakers that had no support. They were so bad, and throughout the whole run, my feet hurt so much that like if you're just not wearing the right shoes, it's like you can't run. Like you're just making yourself a disservice. It's like you're trying to run to be healthier while messing up your feet. So just wear the right shoes. I didn't know what type of shoes that I needed, or running shoes. So I went to Fleet. I forgot the name. It was Fleet something. And I got my foot measured, and they scanned it, and they gave me all the types of shoes that would be like good for me. And I chose a pair of sneakers that I absolutely love. These sneakers are the best running sneakers for me. I can run fast. It was like a complete life changer. So if you feel like maybe you can't run, or like you feel like you've been struggling to run, maybe it's your shoes. Like if your body hurts, like as soon as you start running, like maybe it's your sneakers. So I do recommend getting a good pair of running sneakers. Doesn't have to be day one, like I said. Try it out first, but you know, if this is a thing that you're gonna do constantly or often, you're gonna be running, invest in a good pair of running sneakers. Number 5, stretching. Please stretch. I will attest to this. The first couple of weeks that I started running, I would barely stretch. Like sometimes I would stretch, but not really. And your body hurts. Like every single time you go on a run, your body hurts. And it's not because you're sore, it's because you haven't stretched. So, well, yeah, maybe it's because you're sore, but your body's also very tight, and you're not helping your body recover when like after you go on these runs. And so it is so important to stretch. For me, these major muscles or major areas, your hip flexors and your calves. Your hip flexors, your legs are connected to your hip flexors, and your hip flexor is connected to your spine. So the hip flexors are so important. It's the area that keeps your legs like moving forward, and also like your spine. I would get such bad back pain when I would run. I would just feel it. And then I started stretching my hip flexors, and obviously with like running more often, and I felt so much better. So hip flexors, extremely important, and your calves. Calves are probably the most forgotten muscle group to either work out or stretch. It's your calves. Nobody ever thinks about, like, it's like working out your wrists. Nobody usually thinks about stretching your calves. Now, my friend got me, well, first of all, I know that my calves had lots of knots because every time I would try to roll it out, it was so painful that I wouldn't roll it out. And so my friend got me this calf stretching thing, put it over here, and basically it just stretches out your calves. And I mean, maybe it's all in my head, but I felt that it made such a huge difference on my next run. I felt like I could go on longer, and my running, my posture just was better. Your calves are used to propel you forward, and they do contribute to your pace and to your stride, the stride length. So they shouldn't be forgotten. You should be stretching your calves before, after a run. I stretch them now, and it's made a huge difference in my running. Number 6, if you are kind of unsure how to start, right? I use the Nike Club app for my running guide or for my running plan. I absolutely love it because on some runs or all runs can be guided. And to me, I don't know, it just makes such a huge difference. It's like a motivator in your head, like helping you, like keeping you push forward. And so usually I will listen to either the guided on the Nike Club app, the guided runs, or I'll listen to a podcast. Those two things, for some odd reason, just like make me forget that I'm running, and then I'm just like thinking about other things, and you know, just like really listening, and before you know it, it's like 2 miles, 3 miles, 4 miles, 5 miles, and you've also like just learned something. And it's just, to me, that's what's helpful. When I listen to music, I'm a little more aware of what is happening. And so, I mean, it's good to be aware of what your body's feeling and all of that, but I feel like I feel every minute, because it's like I'm listening to music, but also like I'm conscious. I'm not like really paying attention to the words. And so I find that either the guided runs are really, really, really helpful, or podcasts for me. So you want to just be listening to something. I know that there's people that don't listen to anything and for them is therapeutic, and it's okay. Like, there's gonna come a point where I can easily just do 3 miles without any music because it's light. I just know how to do this. But starting off, I find myself having to like get distracted from everything that is happening. These are the 6 tips that I have for beginners. I still do every single one of these tips. I'm still a beginner, obviously. This is such a wonderful journey. I say this every single time I talk about running. I love this community. I love you guys. You guys are so amazing. Running is just, it's such a high. Like, it's a different type of high that I get from lifting weights. Running, because it's so difficult for me sometimes, and it's so like it's mental. Like, running is so mental that after, when I'm done, I'm just like I feel so good. And if you guys just give it a try, just, you know, one time, don't just say, oh, I'm not a runner. No, give it a try. Try it out. Try these tips. I hope that they are helpful. Let me know down below if you guys have any other tips, anything that is helpful for me. I've yet to reach my 10-mile mark. I think in maybe 2 weeks I will be attempting my 10 miles before my 13.1 miles. And so yeah, thank you guys for watching today's video. Don't forget to subscribe, and if you like this video, hit that like button for me. Anything helps, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.